Welcome to another episode of Sports Vibe, episode 90. It's been more than 2 years actually now that I started this, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Especially this time of year. The NBA Stanley Cup Finals are now underway. Which is kind of the last big major sporting events for quite a while until football season comes back. Obviously, we have baseball season. Will heat up more over the summer, and that's always fun. I'm thinking we're probably gonna take a step back and do some bi-weekly episodes or so after this, but we still got a few more weeks, I guess, until that happens. Probably another 2 weeks or so until these final series end. But yeah, no, it's always great to have Andrew Rice back on the show, and as usual, we got some NBA Stanley Cup to talk about, and we have some football news, some basketball coaching news. We might throw some MLB in there as well. But yeah, I guess first of all, like, how have you been, and what's your take on, like, how the final series have been going? Because I feel like both basketball and hockey have been extremely exciting this time around, more than years in the past.
Well, I'm going to start off with hockey because holy crap, is this not?
This
It's literally like every inch, every yard must have its blood stain.
Yeah, no, both of the games went to overtime, which I don't think that's happened in like quite a while. Game two went to double overtime. Yeah, like you said, each inch of the ice, each goal. The goaltenders are playing well, but there's a lot of goals that are being scored too, which is interesting thing. And I'm really excited for game three. Which will start probably by the time we finish this episode. Recording here on Monday night. Before game three of the Stanley Cup Finals, and we're 2 games in on both basketball and hockey. NBA Finals, Pacers they had the 1-0 lead in a thriller. Thunder answered back yesterday. So we'll have more on that in just a second. They had a better shooting night, and unfortunately the Pacers can't come back every game, I guess. But we'll talk about what that means for the remainder of of the series. But first of all, I did want to talk about some NFL news. So the Packers have released cornerback Jaire Alexander after 7 seasons. There's been a lot of contract talks or impasses with him. Yeah, it's been kind of rumored that they would do this for quite a while. They haven't exactly done that. They weren't really able to find a contract, which is interesting. So as minicamp starts this, I guess I don't know. I think it's different for every week, but apparently the Packers mandatory minicamp starts Tuesday. A lot of the teams are already in minicamp. I've been seeing the Giants, like, their highlights and stuff like that, which is cool. Russell Wilson, I'm really excited to see him. We'll see Dart eventually, I guess. He's kind of getting used to it. But yeah, in terms of the Packers and Alexander, he's he's one of the best in the NFL, like, when he's healthy. But he's been very injured the last couple seasons. He appeared in only 7 games the last 2 years. Has not appeared in a game since November 17th. So he's missed a lot of time, basically. But when he's healthy, he's been a really good cover corner. He had one heck of a contract, 4 years, $84 million. So that was at the time the highest paid corner in the NFL. And Packers will pick some of that money up as they've cut him. But what do you think about Jaire Alexander as a player, and what do you think his landing spots could be? Because this is obviously going to be someone that's coveted in the open market.
I think we know where the landing spot's going to be. I think we all know.
Okay.
We all know how much Aaron Rodgers loves to get his band back together.
Oh boy. Okay. So we're thinking the Steelers. Yeah.
I'm thinking the Steelers.
Also do need a corner, don't they? Or they could. Well, everyone could use one, but
somebody of his talent and pedigree, they'll take him.
Instant starter, and especially given that he's often injured and everything, he could be just like a good starter / reinforcement. That would be really interesting if he does go to Pittsburgh, join Aaron Rodgers, former Green Bay Packer, obviously. And the Packers, they ended up the Jets, they ended up bringing in Alan Lazard, I believe, who is also on the Packers formerly, to have, a little bit of connection. That should be that would be really interesting. Checking out some articles. A lot of teams could be in the services of Alexander. Obviously, 49ers losing Travarius Ward, who is one of the top cornerbacks. I forgot where he even went. Did he go to the Jets, or I can't remember exactly where Ward went, but he's somewhere.
Yeah,
But
why would you go to the Jets?
no, wait, that doesn't. The Dolphins? Oh no, I'm like, oh, he went to the Colts, which is your team, so you'd probably know that. But it's interesting
I
actually. The
did not know
Dolphins,
that. Oh my god, catch me lacking.
Chargers were, interesting. Yeah, sometimes like the off-season news just sneaks up on you, and you don't really realize. I don't know why that happens, but
I've
yeah,
been
the
flooded
Dolphins.
with reports that Anthony Richardson's not going to be in training camp, which is like great. The guy who already has character concerns is not going to be
Yeah,
there.
that's not a good look at all. So yeah, well, maybe it's gonna end up being Daniel Jones's team then. So we'll see how that goes. But
Don't put that on me. Don't put that.
yeah, no, it was so funny when like they ended up putting I guess after years of being loyal to the guy, like they ended up making him fourth string safety or whatever the heck that was. And oh my god, like the whole end of the Daniel Jones era was something, because I think Giants fans went from like wanting him out to being like, oh my god, like why are they treating him so badly? And I was just like, well, I mean, it had to come to an end at some point. It was just crazy. But I'm happy that he got another, not like, good contract, and he has the ability to compete for a starting role, which is probably more than a lot of people thought would happen, given the way things ended with the Giants anyway. But he's not a bad quarterback, but he's just also not really a great one, or
Well,
maybe
you
even.
say he's not a very good one.
Yeah, he's like a high-end backup, low-end starter is the way I'd put it. Yeah, just way too many interceptions. But some other names: the Miami Dolphins, who are trying to find a home for Jalen Ramsey, which would be interesting if you get rid of one of the top corners and get another one. Niners. I'm seeing the Eagles on this list,
Well,
which would be
let's
absolutely
let's
scary.
be 100% honest with you. Jalen Ramsey's on the back half of his career.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend like he's a young and spry corner that's going to dominate the league for years to come. His time is ending, or he's starting to slow
Yeah,
down.
he's on the back end. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's over 30, right?
Oh yeah, he has to
Oh,
be.
he is
He was
30
on that
now, but
2017 Jacksonville team.
right. The one that went to the AFC Championship. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a weird year with football. It was like the Patriots, Jaguars. They all had backup quarterback. The Vikings, the Eagles with Nick Foles. That
Eagles.
was the year they won. Right. Anyway, so speaking of Philly, like I'm seeing them on this list, and that would absolutely scare me. Considering, well, they let a lot of corners leave. I mean, Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers, they really like shook up their defense, which is interesting coming off the Super Bowl. But their young guys are very exciting. I mean, well, now they got the Giants, Jory Jackson, who's probably going to end up starting across Quinyon Mitchell. Keely Ringo's also in the mix. I don't know, like who would I root for to start for Philly against I don't know. Like, I mean, I probably still want Jackson to start over the former Georgia Bulldog. Anyway, that's a whole different conversation. But Mitchell, Jackson, Cooper DeJean, like I like all those young guys. I mean, as much as I hate the Eagles, I must say, like, that would be a really fire secondary if they could also add um geez, Alexander, but the young core of Mitchell and DeJean, I mean, I feel like they're both really good players. And yeah, I mean, I feel like the young secondary is going to be pretty solid for Philadelphia. Hopefully they don't end up adding Alexander, because that would be scary. I'm seeing the Rams, the Ravens on this list. I'm seeing the Vikings, the Cowboys, the Falcons. I don't know. It's an open book, I guess. Who knows exactly where he'll go? But I think the Niners would make a lot of sense, because with the loss of Charvarius Ward. I mean, if the Dolphins are really trying to get rid of Ramsey, I could see him going to Miami. the other ones, I feel like they kind of have some options already in play. So I feel like, they don't necessarily need another cornerback, but if they can get one, like, yeah, I mean, it could help. I mean, obviously, the more corners you have, you could play more complicated defensive packages. Like, you could play, I don't know, like a 4-2-5 or something like that if you want, or like a 4-3-4. There's always places if for a third or fourth corner. But I would say the top favorites would probably have to be like the Dolphins and the Niners, because they both lost solid corners, and here's one in the open market. In terms of the Giants, I don't really feel like that would be such a great move, but they don't really have like a lot of cap space. And in terms of cornerbacks, I mean, they did lose, Deontay Banks. Yeah, I mean, he's not exactly the best, but they just got Paulson Adebo, so I feel like maybe not a fit. But yeah, like I said, Miami and San Francisco, probably my top two. I know you throw out the Steelers, but yeah, I mean, what do you think about all of that? Do you think he'll probably end up going to one of those teams?
I'm going to be honest, I don't see the 49ers because the Niners have been selling all offseason. They are not in a position to buy. I'm pretty sure they're like screwed with cap space and all their young talent now demanding their second contract. I just don't think they're going to be able to sign anybody of his pedigree.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing on the website that they actually have the second most cap space in the NFL. They have 46.6 million in cap space, which is behind the Patriots, who have like, I think, like
Right, but
way
I
more.
believe that they still have to make contracts for Bosa. They still have to
Oh,
make
true.
a contract for the quarterback.
Did they not do that yet? Or
I don't think they did.
probably not. But I mean, they have money. Is my point, I guess. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't.
we'll
I don't
see.
know if they. I don't know if they have
Interesting.
enough
Yeah, and I guess the other
because
concern
I'm pretty
is,
sure Debo also needs a contract.
well, he's in DC now, I believe. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. But
Yeah.
they traded him. But yeah. Anyway, I mean, I guess the other concern with him is injury history. I mean, he's missed most of the last two seasons, so it's, when he's healthy, he's been really solid, but he's been injured for most of the last two seasons. He's 28, so that means he still has a few good years. He Since 2021, he's only played in 34 of the 68 games, so that's not really too great. But when he's good, I mean, he's been on for like the all team NFL Pro list, and he's made the Pro Bowls. I mean, he's been absolutely solid. He's a ball hawk. Everything you really want in a cornerback. Great cover corner. But anyway, I think that's enough talk about Jaire Alexander. We talked about the Steelers as a potential fit, but I think we kind of glossed over the other big news that we didn't get to about the Steelers, is that Aaron Rodgers has signed with them after a long off season of awaiting that news. I mean, I feel like the destination became fairly obvious. I mean, for a while, the Giants were in contention for him. The Vikings were thrown out as a name, although I think they committed to JJ McCarthy kind of shortly after that. The Giants ended up signing Russell Wilson for a very team friendly deal worth only 10.5 million for 1 year, with incentives pushing it towards 21. And then the Steelers didn't really do much at the position. I mean, they have Mitch Trubisky. They lost both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. So yeah, I mean, I think they kind of knew in the back of their head that they were going to end up with Aaron Rodgers, because they didn't draft anyone. They didn't really sign anyone. That could be anything more than like a good backup. I mean, in terms of Trubisky, I don't even know who else they have on the roster behind them, and no one good. But now they got their man. I mean, yeah, I mean, well, for the time being at least. So, what do you think Aaron Rodgers could provide? I mean, I know the Jets had a terrible season last year, but he actually posted some pretty good numbers. I think he has some more in the tank. I mean, the Steelers have kind of been in a weird place where they have kind of made the playoffs. They haven't really gone further than that. But I don't know. Do you think Aaron Rodgers could take that any further? Do you think they're a playoff team? Like, how do you react to this kind of a move with Rodgers going to Pittsburgh?
Well, let's be honest. without Rodgers, the Steelers are still somehow going to be a playoff team because they
Right.
always manage to go 9-8 and backdoor their way in,
Yeah,
you know,
always, every year.
and then get blown out in the first round by like Buffalo or Kansas City or somebody.
Yeah.
I feel like having Aaron Rodgers does move that needle to where they're no longer backdooring into the wild card. I think he
Right.
moves that needle to the point where, when they get into the playoffs, they are not going to be massacred like they have been the past couple
That's true.
seasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, if I can't go out here and say that they're going to win the division, I can't come out here and say that they're going to like go to a Super Bowl because, in all honesty, they're not going to win the division. That
Yeah.
division right now is Baltimore's to lose.
True. Baltimore. Yeah. Plus, I mean, the Bengals could bounce back after, if they could start the season properly. I mean, they have so much offensive firepower. I believe they're going to try to re-sign Trey Hendrickson. Like they, bolster that defense as well. So they're always, I'm sure, going to be in the mix. I mean, the Browns maybe not so much, but yeah, no. I mean, the Ravens are a tough team. They're always a
There's nobody
contender.
in that division that you look at and goes, "That's a bad team."
Yeah, I mean, even the Browns. I mean, they re-signed Myles Garrett. I mean, they've addressed the quarterback position, like not really in a good way, but like I mean, they've addressed it. So I also see that the Browns Nick Chubb signed a 10-year deal. Is that a typo? A 10-year deal with the Texans? Like, I don't know. I think that's real. Oh wait, no, it's a
Wait,
1-year
let
deal.
me
What
confirm
the
this.
That's a 1-year deal, but for some reason the headline says 10. Yeah, it's like a running back signing a 10-year deal. Like, what are they thinking? Like, I mean, the wheels are going to be off the bus, and like by the time that happens,
Yeah, really.
maybe
Let me
literally.
confirm this.
But no, it's a 1-year It's a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. That I didn't even notice signing with the Houston Texans. Yeah, no, that's really interesting because he was one of their top running backs.
It has
So
a
yeah,
maximum value of $5 million. Base value is $2.5 million, which is
uh,
that's a
that's a
team
good
friendly
deal.
deal.
That's a good deal for a running back. I mean, he's very solid too. So yeah, injuries again have affected him, but so what do the Browns like? The Browns are like an interesting team though. I mean, like their quarterback room reads as odd as any because they still have Deshaun Watson under contract, who's I guess on and off the field has just been like a disaster of a contract. But Joe Flacco's been pretty good for them. I mean, they drafted Shadir Sanders, who in the like 6th round or something, which was kind of ridiculous, kind of not. Dylan Gabriel. I mean, do you think Shadir Sanders is eventually going to take over the team? Just maybe later on, and I don't know. I mean, they just have a really weird roster. I mean, then they traded away their second pick, but they got Mason Graham. I still feel like they can make some noise in the division, but it's like you said, it's a very tough division. I mean, all 4 teams are always like good year in, year out. It feels like at least 3 of them, if not more. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I feel like the Browns are just kind of in a weird place. But yeah, that AFC North is going to be very competitive as it probably is every year. But I think you're right. I mean, I think it's the Ravens team to lose. I mean, they still have Lamar Jackson. They have Derrick Henry on a really good season last year. I mean, they also have a good defense. It feels like they're always in the mix for an AFC championship. Obviously the Chiefs are in there. It usually feels like the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens are top 3 in the AFC. And I don't know. I don't really feel like that's particularly going to change anytime soon.
Here's the Ravens motto every year: do really well during the regular season, get into the playoffs, start struggling out of nowhere, have a massively disappointing conference championship game, or a massively disappointing divisional round.
Yeah. It's weird. It's really weird how like all these teams like they end up having like the same season like year after year. I don't know why that is, but
Or let's do the Buffalo one.
yeah,
Really strong regular season, look really good in the wild card round. Run into Kansas City in either the divisional round or the championship game and lose.
yeah. I really thought this year was gonna be different. Like I thought they had enough to get over the hump. I mean, like they had a good defense. Their run game was working against the Chiefs to an extent, and I thought they'd ride it. Obviously, the fourth down spot comes to mind. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what they're exactly missing. I mean, I feel like the Chiefs were also just a really weird team that year, but their defense was really, really good, and Buffalo was a little short. And offensively, the Chiefs kind of figured out what to do somehow to kind of get by their struggles, and
I just
it was a
think
weird year.
I
Yeah,
think
but
it
they
boils
figured it out.
down to Andy Reid has Sean McDermott figured out. You know,
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I feel like the Bills need to run the ball a little bit because I mean, Josh Allen's such a good quarterback, and somehow, like, yeah, somehow they get stymied by the Chiefs because usually it's because the Chiefs have just as good as an offense, if not better than Buffalo. So usually it turns to be a shootout. But last year was a little bit different, even though it was like a 31-28 win. So it was yeah, a very close one. But this year I feel like it was the defense that probably separated Kansas City from Buffalo. I would say, but it looked like the Chiefs made enough strides where they, by the end of the year, where they had enough offense to kind of look decent. But then they got demolished in the Super Bowl, and then their offensive line like fell apart at the worst time, which was incredibly frustrating. Because I know they tried to patch it up a few times, and then it just fell apart. And the run game was like not really great. Pacheco, hopefully he gets back to where he was. Kareem Hunt didn't really have much of an impact in that game either. The receivers, like, I don't know what the heck was going on, honestly. They just didn't have any time to throw the ball. And then on the other side of the ball, they had the right idea to try to stop Saquon Barkley. I mean, it worked. I was kind of happy to see that, although he still had some carries, but nothing else like worked at all. And obviously, like, I think that the Chiefs' game plan was, let's see if Jalen Hurts could throw the ball. And obviously, I mean, I think there was some
and Jalen
skepticism.
Hurts can throw the ball. He's an NFL quarterback. Come
Yeah,
on,
I mean,
man.
I didn't mean it like literally, but like he looked really good, like too, and like he's a good quarterback. I think we knew that, but like I think no one can really say anything negative or push narratives because we know, like, he could do it. And on top of that, he has the best offensive line in the NFL. He has all pro receivers, and basically when the Chiefs shut down Barkley, I mean, the rest of the team stepped up and made life hell for Mahomes. And on the other side of the ball, they had their way. So anyway, that's a long story short. So yeah, this is kind of fun. We're like kind of really getting back into football, but yeah, no. So that's kind of the offseason news that I wanted to cover: Jaire Alexander and Aaron Rodgers. But it seems like we also took a detour and we talked a lot about other teams too in the NFL. So that's going to probably cover the football segment of this episode. And now I guess switching over to the basketball side of things, Tom Thibodeau got fired from the New York Knicks after leading them to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 seasons. And a lot of people kind of did want him out. But a lot of people, I don't think anyone really thought it was ever going to happen. Um, I know he's been known to overplay his starting rotation a bit, and also which I think was a reason that contributed to the decision, and also just not exactly using the best lineups in the playoffs. But I mean, that being said, he's led them. He really built a winning culture in New York. He's led them to the ECF. I mean, they're able to figure out a really good Boston team who, if even with Tatum on the floor, I mean, they had them beat in three out of the 4 games. I mean, Indiana was a really good team who knocked off the Knicks. But I mean, I feel like he had everyone playing at a really high level. Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby was playing really well. I mean, this whole Knicks team, looked. Carl Towns has like reached a new level. He was like playing really well too. So I feel like they kind of figured something out. So, but I'm seeing yeah, that apparently the Knicks players, like, there's some disconnect with him, probably in terms of playing the starters too many minutes, not making the right adjustments. And the Knicks reasoning is that they want to go all in for a title. So I mean, obviously, Thibs got them so far, but some of his stubbornness kind of got in the way. And I guess maybe the Knicks owners, they felt like they really needed to take the next step. I don't know. I disagree with it. I feel like you have to dance with the one who brought you, especially when they brought you so far. And I don't know. What do you think? I mean, do you think that this is the right move or not?
This is a horrible move. This is a
Yeah, I mean that's what
horrible
I'm
move.
that's what I'm
This is
saying. Like, I think it's ridiculous.
this is James Dolan being James Dolan again. In case you haven't noticed, James Dolan owns both the Rangers
Yeah.
and the
He's like an
Knicks.
awful owner, by the way. He's like one of the worst.
He
Yeah. Anyway.
For the past couple years, whenever he gets involved with the Rangers or the Knicks and doesn't let his hockey and basketball guys do the hockey and basketball things, they become a circus. And here's the thing. This wasn't like the GM calling for Thibodeau to be removed. This was Dolan. The GM did not want to fire him. Dolan fired him personally. It's another instance of why the Knicks have not won since the 70s, because they're ran by a clown and the whole thing is a circus. And I know a circus. I'm a Nets fan. See,
Yeah.
you know, you want to talk about a circus of an organization? There you go.
Right.
But like he treats the Knicks like he is some sort of basketball knowledge. You're an owner, you're a businessman, you're a TV mogul of some sort. I'm sure that you are a very intelligent person when it comes to your field of expertise. You're not a basketball person. Evidently not, because this is the farthest the Knicks have gotten, what, 25 years?
Yes.
And imagine your coach Thibs. You somehow make a superstar out of Julius Randle, who before you could not hit a bucket to save his life. You sculpt this roster and take them all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, where you win 2 games. You know, you beat you exercise your demons against Boston. You get to the Eastern Conference Final, and bring this Knicks team there for the first time in 25 years. You lose, and I was like, oh, it's not we'll get them next year. It's here's your stuff, buddy. There's the door. Get out. Like,
yeah, no,
without him, like, I don't think the Knicks have had a winning season recently without him. He was hired 7 years ago. Before that, they were horrible.
They were god awful. I mean, yeah, it's weird. Like being a Nuts fan over the past 10 years has been like kind of the emotional roller coaster, because they've gone from like being like a fringe playoff team that didn't really ever have too much of a chance at like competing to kind of like a rebuild. There's been like all sorts of things going on. And there was kind of the young fun Nets. Then there was the then there was the superstar era. But during that whole time period, though, they were still better than the Knicks, who basically never really made the playoffs, like almost at all in that 10-year period in the 2010s. I think they made it a couple of times, like I think with Carmelo Anthony, but then I think they had like a streak for 10 years where they didn't, and the Nets were at least in the conversation most of those years, although they never really broke through. But still, I mean, like they were like embarrassing, and like then Thibs comes around, kind of over time builds the culture, builds winning. They made the playoffs. Obviously they got beat by the Hawks when Trae Young kind of became a villain at MSG, and being around, they I know they still hate him, which is interesting. But yeah, I mean, they hate a lot of teams. The Knicks are really like they make kind of the obnoxiousness fun in a way that I feel like the other Northeast cities like don't, which is kind of an interesting thing being around Knicks fans. But I guess not to digress too far off the main point here, but yeah, no, like they were really bad, and recently they've kind of gotten pretty good, and building on where they were last year. Obviously, last year the excuses were, they weren't healthy, this and that, and they lost to the Pacers in 7 games. And I guess this year the hope was, well, maybe if they are healthy, they'll be able to get further. And they did beat the Celtics. They got around further, and they were a better team. But the problem is the Pacers were too. But anyway, I mean, yeah, I mean, I see the flaws in terms of Thibodeau, the rotations, this and that, his inability to adjust, which I could see why that's a problem. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I don't think it was the right move to fire him. Like, I see where they're coming from, but I've seen teams do that where they fire someone who's good but not great, and then the next guy comes in and it gets way worse. So like, that could potentially happen. I mean, I don't really know. I'm not really so sure. I mean, basketball's a little different where, obviously the players drive a lot of it, but I mean, the coach definitely has a big impact on building culture, building strategy. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really like the whole over reliance on starters and the late adjustments he made in terms of switching out Hart for Robinson, which he only did in game 3. He did get some of the bench involved in that series. I mean, we saw a lot of Delon Wright. We saw some guys that we hadn't really seen earlier, but it seemed like the moves were a little too late. But at the same time, I feel like the Knicks were playing really good team basketball where they could come back against, kind of like the Pacers. They could come back against anyone. They had a bunch of guys playing well at the same time. I mean, I feel like they really built something that could continue to develop, and you don't want to like tear. Oh, they got Landry Shamet involved. They did kind of get some bench guys involved, but they really built kind of like a rhythm, and that hasn't been there for a while. And now like you can't help but wonder, like, is that going to continue for next season with a different head coach or not?
Exactly. And in all honesty, with our Nets, he's on the market. Go get him.
Well, I mean, I think they're all right with Jordy Fernandez because he's like a great coach and everything, So yeah, I mean, with the rest,
I'm not too thrilled, but also they need to draft better and get better prospects.
That too.
Regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for the roster he had, with like a lot of people thought the Nets would be worse than they were, and they actually managed to kind of overachieve in a way without really falling out of the draft lottery.
Without achieving anything.
Yeah, without achieving.
They overachieved without achieving anything.
Well, I mean, it's not like they were gonna sneak into the playoffs or the play-in. I mean, they might have if they did a bit better, but yeah, they were bad, but they had like moments where they looked decent and they built. They're building culture in a rebuilding phase, but it's gonna be a busy offseason for Brooklyn because I mean, I don't know. I mean, are they going to be able to keep both Cam Johnson and Cam Thomas? I mean, well, Cam Thomas is going to stay, but I mean, there's going to be some moves to make. But well, I don't know. Are they? I guess they're still supposedly going to be in the Giannis sweepstakes. It would be. I don't know what the right move is because with the draft lottery being like a scam, like I don't really know what's a good idea. But they have a lot of picks. I mean, I think the strategy right now is draft well and kind of try to pull like what the Thunder did because clearly that's working for them. And then I guess, that's probably one way to go about it. Or they could try to get a star and pair him up with someone. I don't know. I really don't know. But I mean, I feel like the Nets have kind of tried the star route. And I feel like, that doesn't really work unless you go really all in. And even then, for some reason, it didn't work. So do you want to go halfway and try to be competitive and make the playoffs, not really have a chance of making a run? Or do you want to try to, I mean, I feel like they'd be decent if they have Giannis paired with Cam Thomas and Claxton, and maybe they could attract another star down the road if they went that route. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I mean,
no.
But it wouldn't be. But I'd still prefer they probably do it organically. I feel like this was the first season they really did, and sometimes it sucks to suck and have to do it the hard way. But teams have been doing it for years, and I guess eventually it's supposed to work. But I don't know, because I feel like they tried to take a little bit of a shortcut in it last time, and then I don't know, it didn't really work out. They're still kind of like in the play-in mix, but that didn't really go anywhere. So now they decided to just tear it all down and start over. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I feel like with all the picks they have, they're going to be incentivized to do it that way. But at the same time, if they could get like a player like Giannis or someone like that, then I mean, why not? Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to rush everything, but at the same time, like, I just don't know. But I don't know. What's your thought on like what the Nets should do next? Because it's just a really weird situation with them.
Yeah, I mean, no, honestly, it's about the draft picks. However, the draft picks work out, it's gonna. They had what 5 first rounders?
I think so. Or
no,
I think they have 5 draft picks this year, including some second rounders too. But yeah, they have that's like a lot.
I thought it was 5 first rounders, but
maybe in terms of, I think including like future years they have, because they have they have 4 first rounders this year in the second, because they have the Bucks pick, the Rockets pick, and the Knicks pick, which I guess all came in various trades that they had. I mean, yeah, so that's always very interesting. And then they have a few next year. They have a few the year after that. So, why is my internet like so buggy? But anyway, that's a different story. But yeah, no, they have 4 first picks this year, and then 2026 they have 1. They have 3 in 2027. I guess all of these, trading Kevin Durant away, trading. I mean, I don't even know like where half these trading Mikal Bridges. Obviously, they got 6 for that, which is looking like a good deal. If I might add that. And then they threw Houston in this mix. They threw the Bucks in something. So yeah, they're recouping a lot of picks. I mean, speaking of a team that's employed the same strategy and that worked really well, like the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they're still not done with the Paul George trade. But they built a roster through that trade, and they still have picks left. And yeah, I mean, they're looking pretty good. I mean, like let's shift over to the NBA Finals. I mean, they tied the series. They look like a buzzsaw when they're playing their best. I mean, it feels like sometimes nobody could beat them. I mean, they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has posted 30-point pieces in both Game 1 and Game 2. Then they have a really good surrounding lineup. I mean, Jalen Williams has looked like a bona fide all-star. I mean, he had 19 points. Chet Holmgren is like a center who could do just about everything. He had 15. I mean, Caruso off the bench at 20. Aaron Wiggins at 18. I mean, those are really the main scorers. Lou Dort is like a defensive menace. Cason Wallace has been a guard who you could plug and play. But they just have a really good defensive ferocity. Obviously, on offense, I mean, they move the ball well. They have open shooters. Pretty much everyone on their roster is capable of doing all the skills you really need, which just makes them a really tough team. I mean, everyone can dribble, everyone can shoot. Everyone can defend. I mean, there's really no liability on this team, which makes them ferocious. And then on defense, obviously anyone is capable of stealing the ball, forcing turnovers, scoring in transition. And I guess a question after Game 1 where they blew a lead, and the Pacers basically did what they've done all postseason, which is steal a game in the last final minutes. I mean, unbelievable. And then Halliburton hitting the game winner after SGA missed his. But the Thunder were able to bounce back and take Game 2. Really didn't allow Indiana to come back in this one. We're able to kind of take that one, build a lead, and keep it this time. In terms of, much more evenly matched. It seems like the shooting percentages after a rough Game 1, the Thunder were able to have a reasonable Game 2. I mean, they didn't shoot particularly well, but they shot almost 40% from 3. They shot almost 50% from 2. They made their free throws. So I mean, they rebounded well. They played a pretty good game, and it's the question of I feel like they're the better team than the Pacers, but I mean the Pacers I don't think are out of the series because of their ability to make a comeback at any point in time. I just feel like that can't happen exactly every game in the series, and I don't know. I mean, my original prediction was Thunder in 6, and I feel like that might be somewhat accurate of a prediction. I mean, I feel like the Pacers are not an easy.
Obviously they're not easy.
They're not easy. I mean, they're in the finals for a reason, and especially given that they're never out of a game, they're not going to be out of it. That being said, I feel like the Thunder are probably the better team in the series, and if they could play up to their ability the entire series, then they win it. And I feel like especially now that they've proven after Game 1, that they're not going to let that affect their mentality for the rest of the series. I mean, I feel like they're back in this thing, obviously, and I feel like they'll have the advantage. Now, I guess the question is going to Indiana. How does the home court environment swinging affect Oklahoma City? Because just like OKC's crowd is notoriously good, Indiana's kind of built the same way. So does that have any kind of impact on the next 2 games? Because I feel like that's where the question really lies. Because whoever takes control of the series in games 3 and 4 is probably going to win the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the thing is, the Thunder have the Pacers just completely outgunned. It's the truth. However, With the Pacers, like I said against the Knicks, you can't play 50 minutes. You can't play 55 minutes. You have to play every single minute because they find even the slightest opening, they're going to come back. That's the way that they're playing. The way to beat the Pacers is what they did a couple nights ago. Just run them over. You know,
Yeah.
no going cold out of nowhere.
Yeah.
No having like a couple minute break where you're not hitting any shots. You have to bulldoze right through.
Yeah, because game one, again, like that's what happened. The second they started missing shots, allowing the Pacers to take advantage of that, get into a little lull, and then suddenly the Pacers hit like 2 threes and they're like back within single digits, and then and then eventually, I mean, a little bit of a lull, but it wasn't like all at once in game one, which is what I've seen a lot of the times it is all at once with the Pacers where they just come back in the last minute. This one kind of came over some time, which makes it even more interesting. They kind of cut it to single digits, hanging around. Maybe like the Thunder could pull away, but no, they kind of left the Pacers hanging around. And then towards the end of the game, I think Nemrod hits a shot, which ridiculous crossover pattern, which is all over social media. And then what I like about that move the most is not the endless dribbles, although I'm sure that helps. Not something I could do, but I've tried the move actually, but a lot of dribbles. But I think what really like makes that move really cool is that the way he dribbles the ball, he drops the ball inside the 3-point line and then pulls out, because that created so much space, and then from there he just nailed the shot too. Neesmith also hit a 3, and suddenly the lead is down to 3, and then from that point on, like even before, when the Pacers did that, like I knew like they were. I had a feeling they were going to win the game outright, because I felt like, they're going to figure it out. And even though there are not that many possessions left in the game and the Thunder still had the lead, the Pacers were able to just pull that one out because and there was just a way. I mean, there was just a will, and the Thunder just clearly just didn't have it. They were rattled, and just like every other team. And I mean, they still could have probably won the game, but Shea Gilgeous missed a shot from the elbow, which is his spot.
That's his bread and butter right there.
Yeah, he always makes those shots, the mid-range fall away. So I don't know. I mean, the Pacers covered it really well. I still thought they would make the shot, but once he missed that, the Pacers were off to the races, and Halliburton made another clutch shot. And it's just been one heck of a postseason for Tyrese Halliburton.
Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, him too. I mean, like he's had a really good postseason. He won the series MVP in the Eastern Conference Finals. It was funny because Halliburton thought that was for him for a second, but no, he played really well all series long. He's continued that play, but I mean, Halliburton's just clutched up game after game or series after series. I mean, he beat Giannis and the Bucks. He's had a comeback against the Cavs. I mean, he's had all these moments. I mean, he had the shot against Indiana where he recreated Reggie Miller's choke, which I thought was pretty funny, honestly. And then and then obviously in this series, he game one he hits another shot. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, I mean, he's earned the right to like do all the the aura farming, as he calls it, because he's just had his moments. And that being said, like you can't come back every time. So I think that's what we kind of realized in game two. And eventually it is going to be the best team wins the game. And it's just can the Thunder, like you said, play for all 48 minutes? Because if this game they did, and that's why they won. But if they don't, then if they don't, they won't. So that's kind of the question. Do the Pacers have enough heroic comebacks in them, or can they just win a game outright? Can they inside the Gainbridge Fieldhouse, do they have what it takes to really pull away, or stay ahead, stay afloat? Because if they could do that, then they could really make a statement. Because I mean, game 3 and game 4 are going to be what really decide the series. I mean, we're tied 1-1, but if anyone can really take control in Indiana, I mean, if the Thunder go up 3-1, this is a wrap. But if the Pacers could really hang on and take advantage, I mean, they did the hard part of stealing a game on the road. So if they could really win at home now, I mean, obviously they have the advantage. So I mean, simple math. Obviously, whoever gets to 4 first wins. Whoever gets to 3 would have the dominating control of the series. Like, can the Pacers now do it at home? Or are the Thunder just going to be too much for them, even though it's in their building? I mean, I guess like evidence and logic, and given that the Thunder are the better team, would probably point to that happening. But at the same time, if the Pacers can win one on the road, I mean, chances are they win at least one at home. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like this could go to Game 5 tie, but at some point, I feel like the Thunder are gonna wear the Pacers down. It might be after that point. So I mean, we'll see if the Pacers really have what it takes to. I just feel like it's hard to fluke it. In hockey sometimes, in some of these other sports, maybe you can kind of get lucky a little bit because there's a lot more variance involved, and even then, like, it's not really a luck thing. But in basketball, like, talent really does win out. You can't flip that equation. You know what I mean? So in a 7-game series, especially, so there, at some point it ends up being the better team wins. So I don't know if the Pacers have it enough times to be able to win this series, even though they've shown that they can in Game 1.
Yeah. The problem is, I mean, the Thunder are just so good.
I know, yeah.
Like, I feel like anyone that went up against them would have been completely outgunned. Knicks,
Yeah.
Pacers, Celtics.
There's just so much like offensive like versatility. Like I said, everyone could shoot, everyone could score, they have size. I mean, everyone defends at a high level, which I think is what really makes them dangerous. Because on top of having like a top 3 offense, they have the number 1 defense, and their defense is capable of forcing turnovers at any given moment.
It's like running into a wall. I mean,
yeah, it's like no matter what you do, like they have enough offense to keep you gone, but then they also have enough defense to make your life hell. So it's like, and then they could score in transition and turn that into more offense. So it's just, that's where it gets really scary. And if they could do that, I mean, like, then it's just like game over. So like, I mean, they've really built this roster in such a good way where they have, I mean, Shea Gilgeous, Jalen Williams, and Holmgren are obviously the bread and butter. They're what's leading the charge. But I mean, all their role players too. I mean, Caruso's just been an absolute menace. I mean, Dort is a lockdown defender. I mean, it feels like Hartenstein, has really been like kind of an enforcer at center. I mean, it just feels like everything just works out for them, and they just play really well on both ends. It's just hard to keep up with, especially given that they do it on the defensive end as well as they do it on the offensive end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
I mean, I think that sums it up. So, yeah, I guess some other things on a more like lighthearted note. It was kind of funny how Mike Breen he got criticism for not calling bang in Game 1 with Tyrese hit the shot. But yeah, because I guess apparently he only does that for a game 3-pointers or something like that, which he was saying. And then people were really like going in on Mike Breen for not giving him a bang, which was kind of funny. But then then Tyrese Halliburton Game 2 hit like a very normal shot, so then Mike Breen gave him a bang for that, which almost sounded like petty, just to give it. And then he was just like, well, I had to give him one because I missed the first one. I thought the whole sequence was just like so funny, because like when he gave him the petty bang, as people are calling it, I just thought that was just nuts. But yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, that was very interesting. He said he owed him a bang. So and then they also put NBA final stickers on the court virtually.
Finally.
Yeah, because they were saying they were missing them, but it looked like even worse because then they just kept switching it. Then they put the final script on instead of the trophy. I don't know. I really feel like they put the actual final.
They should have had it on
court.
the first place.
Yeah, and they didn't for the in-season tournament. They have courts looking like absolutely ridiculous, like in like ridiculous color schemes. They have a giant trophy on the thing. I mean, it's like they made a big deal out of that, and then the finals presentation just looks like completely normal.
Tournament's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah. It's so stupid because that doesn't even mean anything, but they make such a big deal out of it, like it means like everything. And then
it's a marketing thing. It's a joke.
Yeah, and then the actual finals, they just like apparently for Game 1 they didn't even show the national anthem or something. They just skipped right to the game. Like, I don't know. It's just like,
yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous. Apparently Lisa Salters wasn't able to make one of the games or something. She's dealing with some sort of like health issues or something, which is also kind of unfortunate, but yeah. So it looks like Mike Breen made up for his duties in terms of not calling the bang, which yeah, I mean that's kind of unfortunate, but in this day and age, I guess everything's worth criticism. Yeah, so I mean, I guess that covers basketball here for the finals. Let's shift over to the other series now because the NHL has absolutely been demolishing. Well, it's been both. I mean, this has been the best Stanley Cup final series I think we've had in years, and we're only 2 games in. I mean, so yeah, no, it's been a really good one. So let's talk about it. First of all, game one, Panthers Oilers, 4-3 win for Edmonton. Sam Bennett had 2 goals for the Cats. I mean, Edmonton, I believe, had the first goal. I think it was a Draisaitl. Draisaitl opened it up for Edmonton, if I'm not mistaken, and then Bennett had 2 goals. Marchand had a goal. He's had a sensational series.
Yeah.
More on that in a second, but and then Edmonton was able to tie it up at the in the third period. I think it was like on a power play or something like it, right before we were set to. Oh wait, no, that was the overtime goal. But they were able to tie it up in the third period, force overtime, and then in overtime get the goal over game winner, which was Draisaitl, McDavid to Draisaitl, as we've seen over the years. I mean everyone kind of knows this, but Connor McDavid's like. He's like, I mean, the way he handles the puck and he could dribble. He's like the Kyrie Irving, like on the ice, like the way he dribbles through and he creates separation and then goes behind the back and he's able to skate through everyone, make people miss, and then he can either score it himself. But lately, he's just been like the assist king. I mean, he hasn't had a goal in this cup finals, but he's had quite the assist total. I mean, he's had 3 in the second game. He's had 2 in the first game. So, I mean, he's just been sensational, able to kind of do all the hard work of setting up the goal, dribbling through, creating space. I mean, finding the open shooter and then delivering it to the shooter in an absolutely brilliant way where all they have to do is really put the puck in the net. And I think that's been really exciting to see. Obviously, we've known he's capable of it, but he's done it. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, he's been sensational. But in game 2, it was the Florida Panthers tying it up in a game that was even more exciting. 3-2 at the end of the first in favor of Edmonton. Then 2-0 in the second period. The Oilers, Corey Perry getting a very late goal right before the end of regulation to force overtime. And eventually Brad Marchand got down the ice on a breakaway. And instead of deking out the goalie, he just let the puck slide. And it got by Stuart Skinner.
Well, he faked a shot.
He faked a shot. He was going to go with a backhand, but instead he let it drop. So very creative to get through the goaltender. Yeah, I mean, it was very brilliantly done by Marchand. He also had a shorthanded goal in that game. So he has had quite a good series. I mean, the goals have just come from everywhere. I mean, in that game, defenseman Seth Jones had a goal and assist, and Lundell had 2 assists. Brad Marchand had 2 goals. Sam Bennett had a goal. Dmitry Kulikov had a goal. I mean, so the goals have just really come from everywhere. The interesting part's been both goalies have been really good. I mean, they both made a lot of saves, but I mean, there's also just been a lot of opportunities, a lot of shots on goal. Just really good hockey. So yeah, and then in the Edmonton side, I mean, in this game, Vander Kane had a goal, Corey Perry had a goal, Bouchard had a goal. He had 2 assists. McDavid, like I said, 3 assists. He's been doing a lot of creation, and Draisaitl had another goal in the game. So this series has just delivered. Like I said, like last year's series was really good. This series could be even better. It seems like each game is an absolute war, like you mentioned to start out our episode. And yeah, I mean, this could really go either way. I mean, I could see this going 7 again, like, with the way this has been going. But I know I picked the Panthers, you picked the Oilers. It really feels like these are the 2 best teams in the league. I mean, they've both been, obviously they were both way better than their opposition in the last round, but they've both measured up very equally to each other. And it seems like, whoever gets on top will get on top, but it feels like each team's going to really have to earn each win. And that's what you really want. Like at this time of year, you want a battle of the Goliaths. You want every win to be tough. And So if every game goes to overtime, which I don't think is going to happen, would make this a very enticing series. But if every game is a hard-fought series with goals scored, by the way, it's not like every game is going to be 2-1. But I mean, we have 4-3, 5-4. If each game is going to be, last goal wins kind of type thing, then I'm very excited to see it, because it feels like, I mean, Edmonton's firing on all cylinders. I mean, like I said, McDavid's playing really well. I mean, Draisaitl's been a really good goal scorer, but they have goals coming from a lot of other places too. And then in terms of Florida, I mean, anyone can score. I mean, their defensemen can score. I think Marchand's been a great addition to the team from Boston. He's had some big shots and some big goals in the series. And then the goalies have been playing really well too, which is a little bit surprising considering, the scores have been relatively high. But I don't know. What do you think? I mean, and Florida took the split. A very hard-fought split, but I feel like Edmonton's just as capable of pulling a split in Florida as Florida's done to the Oilers. So, like, I feel like this is going to be all knotted up again in Game 2, or by the time we get to Game 5, I think this is going to be tied up again, and then we'll see. I think from there it's going to be best team wins, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like Florida could get the separation that they need. I mean, but at the same time, I feel like this one's going to go the distance. I mean, I would still probably want to stay with my pick of Panthers, but if it were to be the Panthers, it's probably going to end up being in 6 rather than 7, because I feel like if it goes back to Edmonton, this might just be the year for them to pull it off. But at the same time, I don't know, they could end up blowing it. Who knows? But I mean, I feel like best team wins. I feel like, I don't know. I like to hold on to my pick here, but I feel like this is going to be a very intense series. And yeah.
Well, it already is.
It is, but
two overtime games, one double overtime game.
Right.
Going back to Edmonton.
Yep.
I mean,
what more do you want?
You can't write it better than that.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do both games of the finals go to overtime, and then you have all these goals scored? I mean, it's just sensational. I mean, and then on top of that, the goalies are playing well, which I've already mentioned too, which is kind of a, it doesn't really, it's like kind of a juxtaposition, if you will, but but that is true. I mean, the goals, there's been a lot of goals, but yet, the goalies are playing well. They're stopping a lot of shots. It's everything you really want in hockey. I mean, this series has been delivering. I hope it continues to deliver. I don't know, but like I said, I feel like the Oilers are as capable of splitting 1 or even taking 2. It feels like anything could happen because these games are so close. But my prediction would be that we end up back in Edmonton tied 2-2, and then the better team probably ends up winning in 6 or 7. I can't really say who that is right now, but I feel like we'll have a better painted picture at the end of Game 4, perhaps, hopefully. I don't know. Maybe not. I mean,
probably not.
No, we might not. It might end up just being 3-3 and then going back to Edmonton, and you never know. I mean, like, it could. Yeah, I mean, it could be the Oilers. In that case, it probably should be the Oilers. But if any recent history is an indication, it might be in a cruel twist of irony, it might end up being the Panthers denying Canada the chance to win the cup once again and going back to back, just as they would write it in themselves or something like that in the books. But I guess the storybook ending would be the Oilers win it in 7 and get revenge, but the more likely outcome is probably going to be the Panthers denying them and lifting it. So we'll see. Who knows? But I mean, I don't really know. It just feels like there's always like a cruel twist of fate in there somewhere, which is why I think I'm going to hold on to my prediction of the Panthers winning it in 7, because it would make too much sense for Edmonton to write the storybook ending to this chapter. But a lot of hockey left until we get to that point. So
we have the Oilers have the narrative. We're going to take it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, if they are able to complete the narrative and lift the cup on Canadian soil, bring it back to Canada, or whether the Florida Panthers are going to deny them, because I feel like it would just be hilarious if they were able to, if it got all the way to a Game 7 and then they go to Edmonton and beat them and then have to they get to lift the cup on Canadian soil. And I just feel like that'd be kind of funny. And for some reason, I feel like that's what's going to happen too, as much as I may or may not want it to, so that's why I'm holding on to that prediction, because for some reason, it just feels like it makes too much sense given the cruel irony of the situation. However, I don't know. I feel like it could definitely go either way because especially with every game coming down to like overtime and these close finishes, it could really end up being like a next goal wins type situation where one goal really separates one team from the other. And if that's any indication of how the series is going to go, then sign me up for 5 more games of this because this is really, really exciting, and I can't wait to see the rest of the series.
Me neither, man.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like that. I feel like that pretty much sums us up on Stanley Cup. If you want to just talk about baseball for a couple minutes to end the episode, I mean, what's been going on in the MLB? I mean, it seems like the Yankees have built a little bit of a lead. They just had a recent series against the White Sox, the Red Sox, but obviously it's the Boston Red Sox. Well, they took 2 of 3 from the Guardians after losing 2 of 3 against the Dodgers. But then against the Red Sox, a little bit of struggle. I mean, they got the opener 9-6 against Boston, but then
they always struggle against Boston. It's the most infuriating thing.
That's really unfortunate because, especially considering they're the heated rival. Well, I mean, they got off to a 7-0 start in game 1, and then Boston wasn't really able to complete the comeback against them. But yeah, game 2 and 3 of the series were kind of rough. It seems like the Red Sox are just a better team, but the Yankees have the better record. So they're out in Kansas City tonight, taking on the Royals. And then a rematch series coming up pretty quickly in Boston this Friday to Sunday. So, unfortunately, I didn't really get to follow too much of that series, but hopefully
it's not tonight. It's tomorrow that they're.
The Royal series is starting. Yeah, well, they do need a day off. I mean, they play like every day in baseball, including almost every day. They have like 1 or 2 off days a week. So I mean, but yeah, so the Royal series is going to be until Thursday, and then the Red Sox rematch series is going to be Friday to Sunday. In terms of the standings,
it's weird that it's back to back like that.
It's very close, yeah. I mean, I guess keep in mind that the Yankees haven't played the Red Sox up to this point in the season, and they are division rivals. So they probably, I think that means they have another home and home coming up as well, if not more than that. But yeah, they have another home and home coming up later in the season. So obviously the first one didn't really go too well for the Yankees, and I believe one of their players said something like interesting where they said like if the Yankees were the last team, they wouldn't sign a contract with them or something, which is something I think Ken Griffin said, and Aaron Judge took a note of that, and then he hit a home run from that pitcher to lead off the first or something, which was very funny. But yeah, so that got a lot of attention. But I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't really get to watch too much of any of those 3 games. Although I definitely, I took note of that comment, and I saw the Yankees got the opening win, and then didn't really notice what happened on Saturday. I saw the Red Sox won on Sunday, so it seems like they took the series, but a quick opportunity for the Yankees to get revenge in Boston. So we'll see how that goes. The Tigers look like they might be the best team in baseball right now, or one of them, with a 43-24 record. So they've been doing pretty well. I mean,
they have an amazing pitcher.
The Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding. I mean, like, what's his name? I've been hearing about him like on all the.
I can't think of it off the top of my head, to be honest with you, but I know that I've been.
Yeah, I've been hearing that they have a really good pitcher too. The Astros are at the top of the West, which always seems like kind of an inevitability. It might have taken a little longer this year, but they seem to get their stuff together. So, yeah, I mean, speaking of good pitchers, I mean, Paul Skeens has really like done pretty well this year for the Pirates, although the team isn't very good, which has been quite.
They're gonna waste him.
I know, it's just so unfortunate too. The Mets are actually looking pretty good. They're 42-24. Although, yeah, I mean, well, they lost 3 to the Dodgers. Although 2 of the games were pretty close. And then they got revenge by demolishing the Rockies, who are pretty god awful themselves. But
whoa! I would just like to point out that the Colorado Rockies have finally reached double-digit wins.
Yay! Let's go! It's about time.
They swept the
I was about to
Miami
say that
Marlins in not last series, but the series before that.
before that, before the revenge series. Oh wait, no, there was no revenge series. Yeah, yeah, they did. They swept the Marlins. They won 3 games in a row, and then I think their social media team got a little witty about that and made some jokes about them winning 3 in a row. Or I forget what the joke was supposed to be about, but it actually did work. So yeah, they're actually doing a little bit better. And then they took the next step, and well, they actually knocked off the Rays and took 1 out of 3, and now they lead the Pirates 1-0. So we'll see if something's coming on
We're
in
gonna go on
Colorado.
a run.
Yeah, how is it possible to be as bad as they're just like so bad? Like it's horrible. But
You ever see that movie, Major League, where the team starts off god awful, but then they somehow make the playoffs?
no, I didn't see that actually.
Watch Major League because we're gonna see it in real life.
That would be so funny if they did. I mean, there's so many games in the season. If they manage to win like the next 50, then I guess we could talk about it.
The next 50.
If they, I don't know. I mean, then they'd be in the playoff conversation probably. So, yeah. So I mean, in other news, I mean, the Dodgers are always looking good. I guess. They always seem to kind of figure it out somehow. Like, or well, they just have such a good roster where like nothing else really, that. Yeah, I mean, they have good pitching, they have good hitting. Things work out. The Padres are in the conversation. The Giants. I mean, in the Central, the Cubs look pretty good. They're 40-25.
The Central's also very, very weak.
Yeah, they're very. Yeah, it's always like a bad division. This year maybe not as bad as usual though, because I feel like I've seen a lot worse. And then the East, the Mets look like they have control over it now. The Phillies aren't too far behind, although they've gone on a very awful 1-9 streak, which isn't really helping their. I don't even know how. I mean, they lost 3 to the Pirates, which kind of says a lot, given about how we were talking about how bad they were. And they also got swept by the Brewers. They lost 2 against the Blue Jays. So yeah, not doing good. But they still have a really good record of 37-28 despite that spell. I mean, the Nationals are bad, but not as bad as usual. They're 30-35. I mean, the Braves are like worse than I've seen them in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but like injuries probably. But they look god awful. Like they're usually a contender. So yeah, I mean that kind of sums up baseball for now, I guess. Yeah, we'll have to see how that. I saw the Red Sox, they just called up #1 prospect Roman Anthony, who I guess was the top the top pick for them in the draft, and they're gonna end up starting him. So I mean, that should be interesting as especially considering the Yankees just had a series for against them. So we'll see. I mean, he went all the way up through the minor leagues, and we'll see how he ends up doing in the big leagues.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, yeah. I already mentioned the comment from Hunter Dobbins about how he would rather retire after the Yankee instead if the Yankees were the last team to give him a contract, which is interesting, but it makes more sense given that he was a lifelong Red Sox fan before he played for the team. So and then Judge smashed the first pitch, but unfortunately yeah, that is that's pretty funny. But unfortunately like the luck didn't continue because the Red Sox ended up winning the game 11-7 and won the series. So we'll see how things go in Boston. But in the meantime, yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, a lot of NFL offseason talk, and of course, NBA Stanley Cup Finals now in full swing. Some MLB baseball talk as usual, and hopefully we'll have more of all of that for you next week. We should have a better painted picture of this NBA and Stanley Cup series for the next episode. But until then, that will do it for episode 90 of Sports Vibe. As always, I'm Arnav Sarkar here with Andrew Rice, and we will see you next time.
See you later, guys.